Let me ask you, when was the last time you sat down not to add more to your plate, but to ask yourself, who do I need to become this month to actually follow through? I am your host, Stephanie Oden. If you're new here, pull up a chair. You are in the right place. Let me go back to my question. When was the last time you sat down not to add more to your plate, but to ask yourself, who do I need to become? Not what task is next, not what course to buy, not whose strategy to copy, but who do I need to be? That one question, who do I need to be? It changed how I think about the rest of the year. And today I'm going to break it down. And I'm going to give you a simple exercise that'll take you 10 minutes, but it might shift everything. Let's jump in, shall we? We're not shy, we're not timid, we're not needing to be fixed. We're an introvert, and that is our superpower. I recently picked up this book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And y'all, this book, if you hadn't read it, here's what I need you to know. Dr. Hardy makes a point that for a long time, psychologists believed in determinism, that your life today is the direct result of your past experiences. But the research has shown now that that's incorrect, that we're not pushed by our past. Instead, we're pulled forward. We're pulled forward by a clear view of what we want to be in the future. Now, think about that for a second. You're not a collection of your past failures. You're not the sum of the businesses that didn't work. You're not defined by your corporate downsizing. You're not defined by the network marketing company that changed the comp plan on you or the money you spent on tools that never delivered. None of that. None of that. And I can relate that I've had thoughts like, oh my gosh, all my failures, they're leading me to here. Or remember that downsizing, it did this. Or man, when they changed the comp plan, it impacted my revenue. And from this day forward, I'm going to stop talking about how much money I've spent on tools. I am being pulled. You are being pulled right now by who you're becoming. So the book argues that you should stop trying to become someone and instead start being your future self in the present moment. It's not about becoming. And I've heard this before and I get this and I've talked about be the person. Be the person right now, today. And I like how Dr. Hardy did it. He breaks it down into a framework that I love. It's structured in three parts. The first part is the seven threats to your future self. And then it's seven truths and reality about your future self. And then it's seven steps you can take to align your thinking and actions with the person you most want to be. I am not getting ready to go through all of those. Go get the book. Go get the book. Get the audio book. Seriously. Matter of fact, I'll put the link to the book down in the show notes. But what I want to do is I want to pull out pieces that hit me the hardest as an introvert, as a woman in midlife, as someone who's building something real while life is still happening, as a message to those of you who are building something real on the side while life is still happening. I don't know if you can relate to this, but for some reason, January has never been my reset time. I know that's when most people do their vision boards and the goal setting and the new year, new me. But for me, August is my time. August just feels natural. There's just something about this time of the year that makes me want to reflect. It makes me want to recalibrate and get honest about what I actually want for the rest of the year. Maybe it's a shift in the air. Maybe it's because there's still enough time left in the year to make some real moves, but not so much of it that it feels so far away. I don't know. But August is my January. And that's why this book was a perfect one for me to pick up. Be your future self now. because I wasn't reading it in theory. I was reading it in real time, in the middle of my own reset, asking myself the hard questions. And some of what Dr. Hardy said stopped me in my tracks. Let me get personal with you for a minute. Hardy says that the first and most fundamental threat to our future self is not having hope in our future. Without hope, the present loses meaning. Without hope, you don't have clear goals or a sense of purpose in life. And when I read that, I had to pause because I have been there. And I think one of the things that's kept me going is it has been that word hope. I've been in that season where I was so deep in the corporate grind, like 30 years of it, surviving the downsizing, performing at the high level, top 2% in the network marketing company, and having that feeling that something was still missing. Not because I wasn't achieving, but because I wasn't connected yet to the future version of myself that I actually chose. I was just reacting. I was just moving through the motions. I was just surviving. And here's what I think so many introverted women don't realize is we're not lacking ambition. We're lacking a clear picture of who we're becoming that actually feels like us. Not the extroverted version, not the go live every day, not the shouted into the void version, but the real version. That one that builds movements from stillness, that one who shapes atmospheres through strategy, that quiet architect. And Hardy, he says it's crucial to identify your higher self as soon as possible because our goals and our desires for the future drive our present actions. What do you think about that? I tend to agree, but I'm curious what you think. Drop me something in the comments. If you have a clear, ambitious vision of the person you want to become, you will take productive actions in the present that benefit you over time. And the opposite is also true. If you lack a clear, ambitious vision of your higher self, you'll take some very unproductive present actions that will harm you over time, and they'll prevent you from becoming the version of you that you want to be. That's why we often don't strategize. That's why we may buy another course instead of implementing the one we already have. That's why we may stay busy, but we don't move forward. It's not a discipline problem. It's possibly an identity problem, not really connecting with the future version of ourselves. When I decided that my future self was a woman who builds residual income quietly and powerfully on her own terms, everything shifted. The tools I chose changed. The people I surrounded myself with changed. The way I showed up changed. Not louder, but more anchored. Because here's what Hardy also makes clear: your behavior follows your identity. And as you align your identity with your future self, like you really step into it, you fully accept it, then you start acting like your future self. No, it's not. It's not a fake it till you make it, but it's putting yourself in that place of how would I make decisions as her? You don't wait to be confident, you step out in courage, and then that confidence will follow. Courage before confidence, movement before motivation. I've said this before, and Dr. Hardy's research it confirms it. Let's get practical. Let's get practical because I don't want this to be a nice podcast episode that, it makes you feel something great. I wanted to have you do something. And he talks about quality decisions, like know where those decisions will take you. Decisions and actions are best when they're reverse engineered from a desired outcome. So you start with what you want and you work your way backward. You think and you act from the goal rather than toward the goal. Here's what I want you to do. And this is the beauty of it. It doesn't take all day. We don't have all day. We have the moments. It's going to take 10 minutes. And if you're building a business on the side while you're working a full time job, I get you. I get you. 10 minutes is everything. This is a practical way to reflect on your progress, reconnect with what you want to accomplish, and decide what actually deserves your attention this month. Whether August is your January too, or you just need a mid-year gut check, this is for you. So grab your journal. If you don't have one, the Quiet Power Journal is a great one. Or open a note on your phone, or open up the Let's Go app because now you can talk into it, you can do video into it, whatever works. And answer these 5 questions. Number one, what are you working towards this year? Not 17 things, but the thing or these 2 things. Get clear. What is the vision of your future self by December? What does she have? How does she feel? And what's different? Question number 2. What are 3 wins from last month? This matters more than you think because as introverts, we tend to dismiss our own progress. We tend to be so internal, we forget to celebrate the evidence. And every win is evidence that your future self is already showing up. Every little action you take towards your future self enhances your commitment and your knowing. And every little action towards your future self is the evidence that fuels your faith. Every little action towards your future self is more fully being your future self now. So name your wins. Name them out loud if you can. Write them in your journal. Speak them into your notes app. Number 3, what are your 3 most important goals this month? Choose the goals that move you closer to what you said in question number 1. Not busy work, not I should, not I shall. Don't be shoulding on yourself. Goals that your future self will prioritize. Number 4, what are 1 or 2 actions that would make those goals more likely to happen? Not 10 actions, 1 or 2. What's the domino? I work this with my coaching clients. What is the domino that tips the rest? Maybe it's finally setting up the system. Maybe it's reaching out to 2 people. Maybe it's creating the piece of content. Maybe it's getting really clear on your ideal customer so that you can walk through and speak into them. But remember, I said 1 or 2. We're looking for the domino here. Number 5, and this is the one that changed the game for me. Who do I need to become this month to follow through? Not what do you need to do, who do you need to be? Because when you answer that question, you're doing exactly what Dr. Hardy talked about. You're identifying the person you want to be in the future and allowing that identification to shape behaviors in the present. You're discerning it in a manner in which your future self can now behave and also act accordingly. And maybe this month you need to become the woman who doesn't second guess herself for 3 days without posting. Maybe you need to become the woman who protects her morning hour for building and not scrolling. Maybe you need to become the woman who trusts that her story is enough because it is enough. Here's what I know for sure. Your future self isn't some fantasy version of you living on a beach. She's a version of you who's finally stopped waiting to be ready and started acting from who she already is. She's not louder, she's more anchored. She doesn't chase. She builds signals, she builds systems, she builds structures, and she attracts the right people. She doesn't conform, she transmits. And she started with something simple like Answering the 5 questions on a random Tuesday in August and deciding this was her month. Hardy says that you don't have to wait for some distant day to become the person you love being. I absolutely agree with that. In fact, if you're always trying to become your future self, you never get there. You'll always be your current self, trying to become someone else. But if you step into that place of you are your future self right now, you don't have to wait to become something else. So don't wait. Be her now. Be her now. We rise not with noise, but with clarity. By the way, if this resonated with you and you're doing your own reset right now, I want to invite you to do 2 things. First, the Introvert Achievers Network. This is the community I built for women done performing for the world and ready to build on their own terms. Inside the community, there's connection, collaboration, accountability that actually allows you to follow through on what you wrote down for day one without exhausting environments that drain your energy. If you need a place where your 5 questions turn into real momentum with real people who get it, this is it. I'll drop the link in the description. And second, if one of those goals you wrote down is building a real residual income that works when you're not working, go check out the Turnkey Residual Income System. It's a done for you self system where 80% of your dollar goes back to you. And you have the potential to earn up to $128 per customer every single month residually. And the system does the work for you. So no tech setup, no cold calling, no shouting into the void. And it's already paid out over 7.1 million to affiliates, and it was built for people like us. People who want income that grows calmly, consistently, and in alignment with who they are. The link is in the description. But I have to give you the income disclaimer. You don't do any work, you won't earn any money. That's the disclaimer. That's it for the day. Go answer the 5 questions. Take 10 minutes. Let your future self guide the pen. And if this episode helped you, share with a friend who needs to hear it. Your quiet impact is making a louder difference than you know. Thanks for listening. And whatever you build today, build it like it matters, baby, because it does. Talk soon.